Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/OhNoConsequences. As per usual, I'll be reading you the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Cross-posted from r/Am I Wrong? Am I wrong for missing my son's birth to see the eclipse? For some additional context, this was posted April 10th, 2024. My 36 male, wife 30 female, gave birth to our beautiful son yesterday afternoon. However, things have been icy between us ever since my decision to not give up my plan to view the total solar eclipse to drive to a hospital while my wife was giving labor. Ooh. For context, I live 2 hours away from the point of totality, and have been planning this trip for weeks. I offered my wife to come with me, but she declined as she was not feeling well and did not really care to see the eclipse. When I was about an hour away, my wife called me and told me that she believed she was going into labor. I was doubtful, since she was only 34 weeks, and asked her if she was sure it wasn't just Braxton Hicks contractions. She really wanted me to turn around in case the baby was coming, but I told her I couldn't because I was almost there. And I wasn't going to give up this experience, but I wasn't even sure the baby would be born today. As I was a half hour away from arriving to the site, my wife was blowing up my phone and confirmed she was in labor and going to the hospital. I was getting pretty stressed out and didn't want to miss the baby's birth necessarily, but I wasn't about to turn back once I already almost arrived, and I still didn't want to miss out on this experience. My wife begged me to drive back after I was already there, but I refused to back down. We both said some things we regret. I put my phone on silent after that because the eclipse was about to start and I wanted to enjoy it. When I picked up my phone again on the way home, I saw furious texts from my wife and mother-in-law telling me I missed my son's birth for the stupid fucking sun. As soon as I was back in town, I came to see my son, but they wouldn't allow me in the hospital room. Today, my wife and her family are still not speaking to me or allowing me to see my son. I think this is outrageous, and I don't see why I should be demonized for choosing a once-in-a-lifetime event over something that could happen again if we have more children. I will still end up bonding with my son, and I don't see why it is necessary for me to witness him being born for that to be true. My wife should know that I support her even if I'm not physically there with her. It wasn't like she was alone. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were both in the delivery room with her. I think that as a father, it is my right to see my son, and she shouldn't withhold that from me over one disagreement. Am I wrong? I do want to just point out an eclipse isn't a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I've seen two in my lifetime. One in 2017 and one in 2024. The next one is set to be in 20 years. But what's crazy about, the concept of an eclipse is that it happens every year. You can travel to see an eclipse if you really want to. Like, yeah, dude, it does suck that your eclipse vacation was ruined by the birth of your son, but that's the birth of your son. I am honestly kind of shocked, well, no I'm not, that you can't comprehend the consequences of what you're currently going through. You put your phone on Do Not Disturb while your wife was in labor and you're shocked they're mad at you. Even if you were destined to miss the birth of your son because you are traveling, hightailing it back to the hospital at full speed and, actively being on call with your wife while she's going into labor while you're on the way would have been a far better outcome than what previously happened, because at least in that circumstance, you give a shit. Because in one, you're on your way. You might miss it, but goddamn, you'll be there. The other one, you were driving in the opposite fucking direction and put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and you're shocked that people are mad at you. Buddy, friend, pal. This isn't just a one disagreement like you framed it. This is you just being a bad husband and a bad dad. Cross-posted from r/malicious compliance. Yet another new manager facing the consequences of their actions story. I'll keep the details as vague as possible because I'm still with this organization. I work for a government department. We have offices and locations all over the state. I'm based out of a city that's about a 2-and-a-bit-hour train ride to our head office. At the time, I was working in a team that had members working remotely all across the state. looking after policy, process, and quality assurance. Our old manager had gone and gotten himself promoted for being genuinely brilliant at his role. So our new manager, Steve, was hired in from the glorious world of banking. And he was here to whip us lazy public servants into shape. A few days after he began his role, he called us all to a teleconference to inform us he wanted all of us to be at the head office 8 a.m. tomorrow morning for an all-day in-person team meeting. He wanted to see us in meat space, to size us up, understand what we were doing, and see where we weren't keeping up with the private sector. As I mentioned, due to the nature of the work we're doing, we were all across the state. So in person, whole team meetings were rare, and if they occurred at all, they were booked weeks in advance. We were all adapted video conferencing long before COVID. Some of us tried to tell our new high-flyer manager that almost none of us were in the same city as him, and to be there on such short notice would mean travel expenses, meal allowances, overtime, etc. He didn't seem to care, and told us in no uncertain terms to just be at head office tomorrow at 8 a.m., before abruptly hanging up. Now, I should explain something. I'm one of a handful of union delegates in our department. I know our award back to front. Specifically, the sections dealing with travel, allowances, and overtime. So I engaged malicious compliance mode. If Steve wanted us there, fine. But it'll cost him. So I quickly went about emailing my team what Steve had done by requiring us to be in the head office at 8 a.m. and what to do. Because we'd have to travel outside our normal work hours, our workday clock started ticking the moment we left our homes and only stopped once we got home. Some of our team traveled overnight. They were entitled to overtime to travel, a dinner allowance, and accommodation for the night, and the same returning. As someone traveling in the morning before 7 a.m., I was entitled to a breakfast allowance, a lunch allowance, and if I got home after 9 p.m., a dinner allowance also. So, I left my house at 5 a.m. to catch the only train that would get me there in time. The train was running slightly behind, but I made it in time. So, my first 3 hours of my workday down, and I'd done no work. After a brief period of us introducing ourselves to Steve, he proceeded to spend the next 4 hours telling us about all of the things he did at the bank. How he made so much money for them, where they'd send him as a holiday bonus, how we're all stuck in the past in the public service, the work he's seen wasn't up to private sector standards, etc. He had all the cocksureness of a finance bro who had always failed upwards because others had picked up his slack. By 3 p.m., my entire team were into overtime pay territory, and Steve was just warming up with his non-charm offensive. Another 3 hours go by with Steve verbally patting himself on the back, deeply in love with his own voice. But all I hear is cha-ching, cha-ching. Steve decided that 5 p.m. was a good time to finish up. He stopped mid-sentence, looked at his watch, and unceremoniously said, "Well, that's all for today. Go home now," and walked out. After I and a few others gave awkward shrugs to each other, we all packed up and started to make our separate ways home after doing no work all day. I, myself, got to the train station pretty quickly and saw a train was leaving soon that would get me home around 8 p.m. Or I could catch the all stations train and get home closer to 9:30 p.m. You know what? No matter how fast I could run, I just could not catch that earlier train. Damn! I just have to catch that all stations train and be on the clock for another hour and a half. Plus, I have my dinner paid for. Damn, such rotten luck. I submitted my claims the next day. 4.5 hours at double rate, my train tickets, my taxi fares to and from the train station, my breakfast, lunch, and dinner allowances. For me alone, it was close to a $500 expense claim. The rest of my team followed suit and ensured they claimed everything too. Steve tried to fight us on approval for the claims, but quickly learned that unlike in the world of banking, most public servants are union, and we'd raise living hell if he denied our award guaranteed allowances. His all-day Steve Fest symposium blew a good $6,000 hole in his budget. Needless to say, while Steve was our manager, he never required us to attend an in-person meeting again. Video conferencing was just fine. He only lasted 6 months before leaving for new opportunities. He just went back to his old job at the bank. Guess he was the one that couldn't keep up. There's a fun additional comment here from Symbolic Shambolic. Was Steve from out of state by any chance? If he wasn't, that's even worse because he should have known. I had one of these once, a new manager who I met for the first time during an in-person sexual harassment meeting that was being conducted by HR. When the meeting was over, she was telling everyone to clock out and saying, "We got paid for an hour and 15 minutes for that meeting." I said to her, "I know you're from other state where the labor laws are different, so I just wanted to make sure that you knew, in this state, if someone is scheduled, you have to pay them for a minimum of 2 hours. She said, "Oh, I'm not sure, let me ask." Then she called over the HR guy who had been conducting the meeting and told him I had a question. I said, "No, I don't have a question. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. This is the law in this state." HR guy came over and told her that he didn't know if I was right or not because he also was from out of state. I told her that she could look it up if she didn't believe me, but please, look it up. I was just trying to help her because we don't need a class action suit from employees who would rightfully be claiming wage theft all because she wasn't taking time to learn the ropes before she jumped in. Finance bros are just a whole different breed of ego. So I know that I'm in a privileged position because I'm a YouTuber, but I still have to work between 5 to 6 hours every single day, and I don't get holidays. I don't get days off. Doing daily uploads is draining. I've been doing uploads every single day since I think January 26th. Before that, it was maybe 3 videos a week or so, give or take. But beyond that, I still put in a lot of time in just this channel, and that's not including any other projects I might be actively working on at the time. Whether it's doing secondary side editing work, working on my main channel, working on my gaming channel, or working on another project that I may or may not release one day. That aside, I got a lot on my plate. But I once had the pleasure of talking with a finance bro who was playing the nice old one-upping game on me, and when we were talking, I was talking about my workload of what it's like to be in the YouTube field because he's in finance, and he pretty much hit it with the whole thing of, "Yeah, I work about 12 hours a day," which I was like, "Damn, dude, that's quite a bit." What was interesting was that his Steam profile said that he had over 100 hours in 2 weeks in CSGO. What was also interesting is that according to his LinkedIn, he had cycled through around 3 to 4 jobs in the past 6 months alone. So this is someone who, the post stated, fails upwards. They do a mid-job at some kind of, corporate position pretty much, and then they go to leave that job, they get a good recommendation or resume because the company just wants them out of the fucking door. They don't care where they go. So then they get a glowing review, they get a new job at a new place, they fail their work, then the company wants to get rid of them, so they get a glowing review and get passed to the next one, and next thing they know, they're making $300,000 because they've failed upwards. I hate it. I hate it so much, but there are actual finance bros who think they are these mega big brain geniuses that literally have just gotten lucky with stumbling up the stairs. And God, do they love to tell you about it. Sometimes in an all-day meeting that ends up costing the company $6,000. Oopsie whoopsie. Cross-posted from r/true off my chest. I messed up and I ruined my marriage. I'm not looking for pity or understanding here. I know I'm not getting it. Me and my ex-wife have a 14-month-old son. After he was born, our marriage fell apart. She said I wasn't pulling my weight with childcare and chores, but at the same time, she expected me to know what to do without her telling me. It was bad. We argued a lot, and I ended up telling her that her life would be harder without me. She got really quiet, and I thought that was the end of the argument. It made things fall apart, and we're getting divorced. We're living separately. Each got a new apartment. As for our son, the law in our state, Kentucky, is that 50-50 is the default for custody. It is automatic unless one parent proves neglect on the part of the other. We don't have that, so, on the advice of our lawyers, we're splitting time and doing alternating weeks since we separated. We usually switch on Mondays with the daycare pickup and drop-off. I knew being a single parent wasn't easy, but I didn't really know until now. This is where I realize how badly I fucked up because I'm drowning. The weeks I have my son, I don't get anything done and I can barely even function at work because I'm so exhausted. I spend my whole week I don't have him catching up and I can't even get everything done. My apartment is a mess and I can hardly keep up with errands and chores. It sucks. I realize I fucked up because I thought since I was having a hard time, my wife would be too, and we could call off the divorce and work on things. But she doesn't want to. She says her life is easier without me and she's the opposite of me, and can apparently keep up everything fine. She says she isn't exhausted anymore and realized it's easier having one person to take care of instead of two. Ooh. I know I messed up and should have been a better husband. I can't even ask for less time with my son because I can't afford the child support. Right now, neither of us have any because of 50-50 and equal income, but if we got off 50-50, my lawyer says the person with less time will get child support. I hate myself for fucking up so much. Obviously, this is a throwaway, and I know I'm wrong. Like, I'm glad that you recognized your fuck up, but just, you asked for this in probably one of the most just disrespectful ways. I mean, telling your significant other who's already drowning with your infant child, you know your life would be harder without me, and then gleefully acknowledging the silence with the, she got really quiet and I thought that was the end of the argument. She called your bluff and she's living a more fulfilling life because of it, and now you're having to actually understand what it's like. And the problem is that for you to fix this mess, you have to somehow convince your wife to go from being relaxed and being able to actually enjoy herself to agreeing to taking on inevitably more responsibility. Because if she's not drowning and thriving and you are drowning, if you two get back together, she's gonna have to pick up more because you obviously can't handle it. As also a general PSA, which I hope is very obvious to everyone here, don't tell your significant other that their life will be harder without you. That's a dick move, and they're gonna end up probably taking that challenge up and proving you completely wrong, and which they deserve to do for you making such a head-ass comment like that. General content warning on this one for mentions of abuse, thoughts of suicide, drug use, drug abuse, and, well, anything potentially tangentially related to that, because this one gets heavy. Viewer discretion is advised. Girlfriend edged a breakup to see what it's like. My ex and I have separated. It's weird to say because I'm still confused about everything, but it's as simple as the title says. A week ago, we were at my place when something just changed in her demeanor. She walked over and simply states, "I'm leaving." I was confused, and asked what she meant, and she said something along the lines of me knowing why. I'm confused because a minute ago, we were just happy watching shows and bullshitting. Upon further pressing, she says that it just seems like the right thing, or something. I get flustered and ask, what is wrong? And she sits there silently, staring at her phone and only speaking to give me updates about when a ride will arrive. I just stop pressing and sit down and just wait, because I can't even explain this. I'm not going to yell, scream, or cry. I've just felt the same burning hot feeling and difficulty breathing in my chest when my dog died. Like, this was it. And I have nothing to understand why it's happening. All of a sudden, she puts down the phone and exclaims that she changed her mind. I asked what that was about, and she giggles, almost playfully, and says she just wanted to edge a breakup. She gives me her answer. And I just end things there. She immediately regrets it, asking me to reconsider. The thing is, this happened before, early in our relationship, and she explained she has an impulsive habit of things. I've only seen this once, and it was when she ghosted me after just starting to date her. Maybe in her defense, she was on her period and was experiencing mood swings, but I sent her home, and I haven't spoken to her in a week until now to get my stuff. Am I going too far? She seemed distraught and hurt and genuinely meant not to have wanted that. I want her back so badly, but I don't know if I can trust her yet. It's making me sick and I miss them so much. Am I wrong? Can there be something salvaged? I know she genuinely loves me, but I'm scared that I'm just being abused. Update. This blew up more than I expected, and I will be providing an update on a lot of things to answer questions and clarify what's been asked in the comments. It's still so fresh and I'm experiencing a ton of emotions. I might make a separate post for a larger update to answer more questions. I spoke with her after picking up my things to figure out what was going on, and I'm still at a loss to interpret her actions. Update 2. And this is where the content warning comes from for self-harm, abuse, drugs, and addiction. Hey everyone, I guess this is how it's going to have to go. I haven't been sleeping, so I'll try my best to make it make sense. I've come to present you with an update. Here's a link to my original post and breakup story if you missed out. This will be an attempt to explain and answer some questions from my last post, but mostly as catharsis. Hopefully, this still fits into the vein of the subreddit, since I guess these are future consequences of that night. I ended up seeing her to pick up stuff and exchange items. She sent me a text to talk, asking if our time apart was enough to reflect on the relationship. She continued to explain that she deserves some type of closure, and that if she doesn't hear from me, we should go our separate ways. We have a short talk on the phone, and I tell her my trust was completely broken. At the time, I was on the fence of breaking it off. I return home to grab some of her clothes to exchange. I try to call some friends since I was in tears and had a huge ache in my stomach. But no one was answering, so I just pushed through it and met up. The initial exchange was awkward, and she just thrusts a bag of my clothes toward me and grabs her stuff and abruptly walks off. I call her and asked if she even wanted to talk at all, and she admitted it was kind of rude. We're both sad and teary-eyed, and I could tell she really was hurting. She sits in the passenger seat for a minute, and she asks if there was any chance we can be together again. At this point, we were both crying. She told me she talked to a friend and sibling, and they both told her she deserved it. She has done the same thing to them. She points out all the time we've spent together, 6 really good months, and asked if it means nothing. It did mean everything to me. I sit there for a moment crying and just say that it can't be fixed. I tell her if that I take her back, I'd be enabling that behavior, that if we were to ever reconcile, this will have to happen. Otherwise, the relationship will continue on a toxic slope, doomed to end horribly. She awkwardly asks if I really think she would do it again, and then admits she realizes she doesn't have much ground to stand on with that comment. I'm sad. I still love her, and I'm devastated to have her leave my life. She truly didn't want to hurt me, but as I've explained earlier in a comment, I was primed by a parent for that kind of manipulation. If I were in a stronger space, I would have taken her back. But I have a dying uncle to care for, and it's been a few years since I was hospitalized for trying to depart from this plane of existence and self-harm. I will struggle with severe depression and insomnia. It was truly for my own sanity that I had to leave, because I'm already in a place where I struggle to trust and interpret what people say and do. We tell each other that we love each other one last time, and that was it. I drove home, and I didn't really sleep. The week after. For the past week, I've been very depressed. I haven't slept a few nights, and a lot of them have to do with the emotions welling up from living with my mother. That night, my girlfriend tried to edge a breakup. There was a point when she gets in the car and tells me she hates men. I get it. I hate men, but she's crying, and I'm scared something happened to her. Nothing was wrong. She was upset about comments directed at her Instagram and how she looked, feeling like an object. The comment about hating men kept flashing back, and now I don't know if what she did had any correlation with her behavior. What hurt me the most was the memories it brought back, and I always remembered my mom saying it to me, my brother, and my father. My mother would hit and scream and terrorize my father. She went after him with a knife once before, and then tried to slash his tires another. They would be constantly fighting and filling the house with anxiety. I would be too wired to sleep properly. They were 2 drug addicts who found each other and decided to have my brother and I. One day, he left, and then she continued turning her anger at me and my brother. Her moods were always unpredictable. She got involved with a heroin addict that she met in Alcoholics Anonymous, who not only used the house as a place to 13th step my mother, but also to shoot up and buy/sell drugs. Her moods continued to be erratic. She eventually broke up with him, doing to him the same things as she did to my father, but with a whole new layer of insanity directed at us. I could only ever remember my mother as malicious and unpredictable. She would lock me out of the house on cold nights and would call the cops and make up lies to get them to bully me and harass me or throw me out of the house that we rented, even though I was paying for it. They never could, but they did goon up during the talks, and she would do it where it would disrupt either my work or sleep schedule. Right now, it sounds so insane to simply say I put up with this, because that is absolutely true. I was so used to the abuse and gaslighting. I was so used to everything being so batshit insane. I was just trying to do the right thing while being told I was doing everything wrong. I was bullied at home to go to school and get bullied there. I have issues interacting with people because of it. I'm maladaptive and antisocial. When I met someone who is interested in me, I get attached, even if they treat me like shit. It just feels like everyone else was given a different set of directions to life. I don't know when someone is being kind, condescending, or wants something from me. I take everything personally or not personally enough. I have no sense of achievement and I constantly just feel like a ghost. All of these feelings, thoughts, and memories from where I lived and what I grew up were flashing in front of my eyes, and I couldn't see anything around me. It was like I was stuck in a movie and my heart was racing. When my ex smiled at me like my mother did when she knew she was fucking with my head, my stomach fell out of my ass. Recovering? I'm still trying to get a therapist and a psychiatrist. I always have been. I've been burnt and I can't seem to fix myself. I envy everyone and how they can so easily take to therapy and medication and I cannot. I literally feel like a failure at recovering and getting my shit together. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 5 and later MDD when I was 12. I have been having small breakdowns and flashbacks throughout the week. I tried going to the club last night with friends, but I got too drunk and sad and was let out. I wasn't sloppy or disruptive or anything, but they just cut me off. My friends came out looking for me and found me crying on the side of the street, and they called me an Uber. I felt so embarrassed for them to have me in their company. I wish they just ignored me and forgot about me, because I had every intention of wandering off into the roads and disappearing forever. I have friends, but I don't feel like it. I want their affection so badly, and I simply can't feel it. Not the love from my aunt or uncle, my brother or them. I know they care, but I just can't feel it. When they try to show it to me, I feel angry and frustrated. When my friends came to call me an Uber, I was crying even harder because in my insane state, I could not even fathom that they actually gave a shit about me. I was pissed. They left the club and came looking for me. If anyone knows how I can deal with this or what steps I should start taking, I would appreciate it. I think something is going on in my head that is very atypical. My mind has been so foggy and racing, and I've been slurring my own words from lack of sleep. I struggle talking and performing at work. There are times where my ears ring and it feels like they'll pop, and it feels like my head is going to explode. I often find myself trying to hide from coworkers so somebody doesn't see me in pain or crying. I don't want to go to the hospital because I don't want to be away from my uncle so I can help or care for him. I can't spend money on it, and I don't necessarily believe it'll make me better or safer. I know there is support, but I'm failing to find strength to get it. It just feels so insurmountable. That's my update. I don't have anything rose-colored or shining to share. If anyone could possibly point me towards resources or steps to help me with what I have, that would be great. I could use all the help I can get right now. Sincerely, OP. I can only hope that OP is doing well, and that they were able to find resources and support that were able to help them. Many people in the comments recommended things like the crisistextline.org, which provides you a way for you to chat with someone and to essentially have an easy access to vent or get into contact with someone that's able to help you. Do not, by any means, use ChatGPT for therapy. Do not do that. Or any other large language models for that mention. I know that has become very popular as a way to get essentially impromptu therapy nowadays, but ChatGPT is not built to tell you those hard things that you might need to hear to help you start that healing process. It is built to be a sycophantic little pet that tells you exactly what you want to hear, or what might make you use ChatGPT for even longer. It's not built to help you, it's built to make you keep using it. find a person who is qualified to talk to. And if anyone has recommendations, please comment them and I'll see if I can make sure that I'm hearting or pinning the comments that have resources that help. They're good to have and good to know, and the more information that we have to help others, the better. I know this is a heavy topic, but it is good to bring attention and to talk about these kind of things. Even if it does mean this video will more than likely be demonetized. Gotta love that YouTube literally spells out in its monetization guidelines that heavy topics like this aren't suited for advertisers. God damn. But that's beyond the point. The thing is, OP is actually making the right steps to heal themselves, of getting away from people who are manipulative or abusive or those that just kind of wanna edge a breakup to see what it feels like. That's not a good or normal thing to do. That's extremely fucked up. And I'm glad that OP walked away from that because he doesn't know if she'll do it again. It's not worth the emotional ping pong staying with that person just because there were a few good months between the two of them. If she actually cared about those few good months, then maybe she shouldn't have edged the breakup. Like, come on. It's gross. But OP getting out of that system is a good way to begin the process of healing. And it sounds like while they may not fully realize it, they do have people surrounding them that do love and care for them. It just will take some time for them to be able to accept that because they grew up with such a warped view of what love and care and adoration is. Hopefully they're able to get the help they need because I can understand and empathize with being in these kinds of low points and having these kinds of feelings. Hopefully OP's doing better and they've been able to build themselves back up. And if you're ever finding yourself in a position like this, please don't hesitate to reach out to friends, family who you know you can trust, or to find resources that might help you take that first step in the healing process. It's important, and never sell yourself short for what kind of care and help you might actually need. Cross-posted from r/Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for agreeing with my sister after she accused me of not liking her or caring what's going on in her life? 22 female. I have 3 younger sisters, 20 female, Ariel, 14 female, Lily, and 12 female, Michelle. My parents have always been very open about favoring Ariel over the rest of us, likely because Ariel has a more social and extroverted personality type. Like our parents, whereas me, Lily, and Michelle are more quiet and usually stick to a small group of friends. Ariel also was the only sibling who shared certain hobbies with our dad, so he especially, but still both of our parents, would show favoritism to Ariel through things such as being involved in her hobbies, having an active interest in her social life, praising her accomplishments, and getting her nicer presents, whereas I did not receive that treatment, and Lily and Michelle currently do not either. I know that our parents are the ones choosing to openly favor Ariel, and their favoritism isn't her fault directly, but Ariel recognizes the favoritism to the point of being able to verbally acknowledge it, yet is okay with it since she's the favorite. She actually rubs it in my, Lily, and Michelle's faces. Just a few weeks ago, Ariel told Lily and Michelle that it was their faults that our dad ignores them by saying something along the lines of, "He'd be more interested in you as well if you were good at X, Y, and Z. If you want that, then you should try getting into X, Y, and Z." I only talk to our parents to stay close to Lily and Michelle. I don't make any effort to be involved with Ariel at all. This school year, both Lily and Michelle made the honor roll at their school, since our mom didn't acknowledge it beyond, "Oh, good job," and our dad didn't acknowledge it at all. I took Lily and Michelle to Dave & Buster's and some of their other favorite spots to celebrate. That's a good sister right there. I admit, we stayed out pretty late. My parents were spending the night somewhere else, so only Ariel was home by the time we got back. After Lily and Michelle went to bed, I was preparing to leave when Ariel asked to talk. Ariel brought up that I hadn't come to her graduation. I told Ariel that she never came to any of my graduations, plus she didn't even ask me to be at hers. Ariel told me her birthday last month was bad enough because a lot less people came than expected, and I didn't get her a present when I clearly had the money to take Lily and Michelle out. Ariel accused me of not liking her or caring about what's going on in her life. I told Ariel, in as objective a way as possible, that her accusation was true, for the reasons explained in the second paragraph. She said herself, We aren't worthy of being our parents' favorite like she is, so just leave us be. Ariel cried, but I was too tired to deal with her and just went home. I talked to some friends about the situation, and if you told me they feel bad for Ariel, they said she's also a victim of our parents' favoritism, and now she has to watch her sisters be super close to one another while she's the odd one out. Am I the asshole for still arguing with my friends that Ariel is now 20 and is no victim now that she's an adult? So the moment that Ariel acknowledges it and utilizes it against the siblings, she goes from being a victim of the parents' abuse to perpetrating the parents' abuse and being a part of the system. She goes from being victim to abuser in that moment now that she's old enough to fully grasp and understand it and even rub it in the faces of her younger sisters. They're 12 and 14, and she's actively putting the blame onto them as to why the parents don't love them the same way as Ariel. She expects everything from her family, including her sisters, but gives nothing. Not time, not gifts, not consideration, not even love or care. It's an expectation of superiority, and she doesn't like the fact that she's not getting it full front and centered. And that was made abundantly clear during the confrontation with OP. I don't know. They have the opportunity to break the cycle and to be different and to mend the relationships, but instead they've chosen to actively participate in it. And it's hard for me to feel any sympathy towards Ariel that their older sibling doesn't care or have an interest of what's going on in her life.
Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code OZ at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.